roundtable is, professionals in the real estate industry is more about business, but it's also trying to help the generation coming, and also to ensure that as much as possible, some of those stories we think are just normal to us, we don't realize that it does a lot for others. So it's basically just impact, vulnerable conversation. Real estate is broad. There are many barriers to entry. I know of somebody that started off as a contractor and is ending up doing development. I know of somebody that was a salesperson and then ended up doing development. There are many entry points. So you need to understand where you are and what you have, and how can you collaborate to do it as a starter. Who can you learn from? You need people to show you that direction so that you can think outside the box and stand out. So a lot of people have that ambition, but it's just important that you just learn, watch podcasts like this, hear from the industry leaders, try to understand what they're doing. You can have mentors from afar, and look at that little niche you can go into gradually, use that as your inroad, look for what you lack and find partnerships in that. It's just collaboration. Architects collaborate with structural engineers, collaborate with contractor, financiers, all of that stuff. Try and understand all you need to push up a project. Try to do a lot of research, see those that have been there and done that, learn under them, and try and understand how your project runs from start to finish.
Thank you, Jide Adekola, for joining us. Now let's start from your early influences, growing up in a university campus, growing up in an academically but yet humble background. How much of that has shaped you into the man you are today?
Yeah, so Benga, very good question. For me, it is humbling for me because this was a time that I lost my mom when I was 3. So I basically just remember a silhouette of her. My dad just took up everything, so we just came from having a lot, to just having everything, and because my father was focused on academy, he wasn't really bothered about what my mom could have been making in the oil company and all that. He was focused on education and all that, so everything just dropped, so to speak. But it made me appreciate whatever I had, or appreciate anything I get, because over time, seeing that you didn't have it all, seeing other people around you have it, but I think the environment also helped, because, it was encouraging to see friends, to see people moving around, but you're a bit content with what you have. And I think directly or indirectly, it was good training from my dad. So, growing up in the university environment, it helped to see how community works, although most of the parenting you hear today was not even the order of the day. We probably were just left on our own to explore and, just find out how.
You had big sisters.
Oh, yes, sure. So they were more spiritual and trying to say my brothers must not be bad boys, that kind of thing. So there was a lot of sort of like discipline from that. I had an auntie that was actually a cousin, but she was a lot older, and she said, look, I will not leave these children alone. So she even helped to just sort of cover, but we always knew that you couldn't just get away with anything. So sisters and all trying to shape that for us, but growing up from then just makes you understand how humbling life is. It makes you understand that you can lose anybody at any time. It also makes us understand the reality of the fact that you need to take control of your own life, So I think that's what that sort of background put me through and helped me in being who I am today.
Now, you have 2 solid master's degrees, one in property development, another in architecture and environment design. How has that mix helped you to think differently about real estate? Do you think it's giving you a sort of edge? Because traditionally, architects are not, you work for real estate firms, not necessarily running
So
real estate firms.
I think because of the visioning, because of the creating something out of nothing as an architect, and I think that's really what attracted me to architecture in the first place. You look at something, it's just a bush, you think of something and you make it happen. So that was it for me. It started off when I started doing engineering drawings and technical drawings they give you 2 sides of a machine and tell you to figure out what the other sides are. So that imaginative part of it was what really attracted me, and I think it now begun to extend to me now looking at the industry itself and realizing that yes, we are architects, but people employ us to do that for them. And if the person doesn't like what you've done, or the person wants it a certain way, you have to follow what the person is saying. Or, most architects will say we are cocky, you want to do it your own way, your client. But I realized that those that were really paying the bills for most of the architectural firms I worked in were those that had more projects and had money to be able to spill around to do more of that. And I realized that, look, there's something bigger than this. Why don't you control what you build and be your own client, so to speak? And that's how I just delved into development. Even though, that's what pushed me to the other masters. Okay, I don't have much knowledge on this. Is there an actual education for property development? Not real estate as broad as it is, but particular to property development. That's how I went to the UK too.
So it kind of gives you a competitive edge.
Oh, yes. So for me, you basically dealing as professionals, basically, not just business as usual. Sometimes it looks like sometimes you don't want to wear that hat of a professional because you might want to waste money and break down something and rebuild it, but it mixing it with business made us look at the numbers properly and see that even as you're creative, you need to make sure that the numbers add up and they work,
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Now, yes, last year you added a feather to your cap. Being part of the Forbes Business Council means you're rubbing shoulders with top industry minds. What's one game-changing insight that you picked up that more Nigerian entrepreneurs should know in your interfacing with Forbes Business
Yes, I
Council?
think it's association. I never really wanted all that, Forbes and you have made X amount. No, it was more for the association and networking and trying to learn more globally. If anybody that is moving around me around this period knows that we're trying to think global now, and there's no point thinking global without trying to be in that space. So that's really what I was trying to do, by trying to, and I've really gained a lot from it. So we're in a particular platform where any conversation on anything that you're doing, you could actually just bring it up and people will just come in and say, look, they troubleshoot and give you an answer. You could also go into seminars, talking about trends and all of that. So they help with that. And imagine a place where you just need help. You throw it in and you get an answer from industry leaders. Sometimes I'm shocked at the people that are in that group, that because of that association, they will give you information. Apart from that, it also is surprising and humbling on the kind of doors it can open when you're in other countries. Because once you're in another country and you want to hook up with any of them,
It helps.
easily
The
you
network
could
is
hook up. Yeah, the network is there. So it's basically the network, the information, and it's also in that line of ensuring that we go global. We're trying to think of the UK, US, Canada, some parts
Beyond
of Africa.
Nigeria,
So
beyond Africa.
Nigeria. So the whole idea
Fantastic.
was just to make sure that you have that step in and you could also just, access to information and network.
Fantastic. In your less than 55 decades on this earth, way less than that, you've done quite a lot. And you're very resilient. You've overcome so many challenges. And when it talks about, when it comes to business resilience, you're one that can speak to that subject. Now let's talk about overcoming challenges. Real estate in Nigeria is no joke. We know that regulations, funding, market shifts. Can you share a time when things almost went south and how did you turn around? Because looking at your journey so far, it's been quite long. The homework group journey. Would you say the Banana Island incident with the Lagos State Building Control Agency was the worst you've seen in this industry? And if you don't mind, you could share that story with us.
Yeah, so I think it's I think I would call that the worst. I think it depends on what context, but I will call that the worst because and I need to add that something helped me to go through that period, which was a mentor, someone I worked for. So it's very important for people to understand that they need to go through that process, because he told me almost the same story, close to 20 years ago. No, yes, about 20 years ago, and he told me what happened, and it was almost the same thing, and it made him grow bigger. So for the banana incident, I was building, I did all the right things, I did all the approvals. For some strange reason, I'm not sure whether the government wanted to sort of show the power that they could come into prestigious areas like that. And to my shock, I was still submitting my drawings and all of that, and they just came and said they just demolished 2 out of the 6 units I was building. And I mean, that was shocking for me. A lot of people used to check on me thinking it was a waterfront. So they thought maybe I had gone into the water or something, But for some strange reason, I remembered what this
What kept you strong?
Usu
Yes.
Crown, I mean, he owns Crown Realties. He just, I don't know why he told me that story. It was exactly the same story. Lagos State government, his property, they broke down about four. He got back, spoke to them, had a conversation. And after all that sit down, they came back to say, you know what, this is the best guy to deal with. And it just blew from there. Wow. So this experience really taught me that as opposed to just doing the right thing, you are also at that space where you need to know who is in those corridors, not just for knowing them, or than they know you.
Stakeholders.
Yes, so stakeholders, do you know them? Do you know what they're doing? Can you be part of it?
Yeah.
Regulators, yes. Because what really happened for me was it was almost like a nobody. People called for other people, but in this case, nobody was standing up for me at the time. So I think that taught me how to make sure that, and it made me meet a lot of people. And that has developed, I think it was there to structure a lot of other obstacles I will find in the future, in which case I don't shake to it, and I think that's what has, yes, and I think that's what, and I feel that you're doing business, something like this must come true at some point in time.
So, I mean, still going back to that story, because it's not everyone that could pass through it. You're very strong and you have a very strong family support network. What helped you go through those times, those challenges mentally, and how did you bounce back?
So I think
because if when people don't wear your shoes, they really can't tell. Jide is a strong person and all of that, but where it hurt the most. So we can look back in hindsight, and because the worst is over. Yes.
The support mechanism definitely came from family first. My wife, my kids, they stood there within that time. Prayer, support, my extended family, my dad, my sisters, and then I dare say my family in terms of, because my workplace, we treat homework as a family. They all stood up. I could see some of my colleagues literally crying. So you could tell that it's pained them, So for me, that just shows that's that support that you can't. These guys are counting on you. You can't let them down. I remember the very next day I came into the office. They were all looking at me. I'm like, business as usual. Let's do this. They were all looking at me like, "Are you okay?"
Yes, are you really, really okay?
Yes. So I think they encouraged me a lot. Just showing up made me know that look, people are behind you. You are helping. God has placed you in a place where you're supporting families. You're helping. People to they have a source of living through this, and that's where I just felt encouraged, And over time, I just started seeing the benefits of the people I had to meet, and people that helped out to sort the problem out.
It became a blessing.
Yes, because they actually gave us the side back and said, go and build the same thing you built before. So basically, we just saw that this was a blessing, and that happened almost immediately. So it started to just pay off eventually.
I mean, there are serious life lessons here that you don't give up and think, look, that's the worst.
Yes, I mean,
the worst has happened to me.
Look,
yes, that lagoon, they would have just stepped inside.
Just stepped and said, you know what, I'm going outside this country. It's too much problem.
Nigeria happened to me,
exactly,
like they say. Exactly. Now, looking at the last 2 years, and I'm going back to the day on, is it May 29th? 2 years ago, 2023, when the present administration came into office and President Tinubu announced subsidies gone. There were ripple effects, shock the economy, and that wasn't the only one. They unified the exchange rate from the floating of the naira to. So it had serious implications for the Nigerian economy. You work in this ecosystem, you've done, you had ongoing projects that you had priced. How have you been able to adjust to the economic ups and downs in the last 2 years?
So I'll tell you for sure, it's not been easy. Another thing is that experience always helps. I remember COVID hit very hard, but there were opportunities there. So it taught me, and that was where we made the most of our revenue. So one thing that I realized was that, first of all, once chaos hits like that, start looking for the opportunities. So we looked for the opportunities. We saw that, we have more of the diaspora buying at that time, even as the inflation is going, is even giving them better buying power, so we focus there. Right now, it brings this ripple effect of you have to charge inflation, you have to charge variation on inflations and all that. That comes with its own issues, because those in Nigeria will fight back even though they know it's an issue. I'm just coming from a couple of those issues where people try to go to court and go there. But I felt, you have to be reasonable.
Because you're part of
Yes, you
the
have to be,
system.
yes,
you
have to be
understand what's been
reasonable.
going on.
Yes, you're part of the system. We're going to keep your value, the value you have of the property, because that's also scaling up. But you have to put something down to allow us to do this. If
It's
not,
just fair.
nothing is going to happen and we can't move forward. So it was a very tough
And
decision.
they're not going to give you a Jide Adekola price when you go to the
there's
market.
Your business can actually just die if you do not do that. Because I just realized that even if you want to take the heat, because I've never really charged variation before, this time I was like, well, we have to do it, because to survive and still give them the value. The Shylock thing to have done would have been to say, look, it's selling for 4 times the price now. I sell to somebody else that is willing to buy, and I give you back your money. But I got money from you.
That's still pretty decent.
Yes, I owe you that duty of care. So let me explain it to you, tell you what's going on, communicate with you, and you tell us what you can do, and we try to negotiate. But you have to understand that what it cost us to complete this project before is not going to complete.
I mean, and you're not bringing this thing out of thin air. It's the reality.
Yeah, it's the reality. You're seeing it. You're not going to meet an airline and say they increased their flight and you're going to riot there. Or you say that you went to ShopRite or you went to the market and you went to buy tomatoes and you have to fight with them there. That's what I try to tell them. That, look, you need to understand. And the funny thing is that some people, as soon as you say, they're like, understandable. I actually kept this money because I felt this is going to happen.
Wow.
And they just drop it or they just negotiate. But some, out of every
there would always
10,
be,
you're going to see 2 that are going to drag, and the funny thing is I keep telling them that the amount of money you're using to drag, you should have just given us to just finish this thing. It is to your benefit.
At the end of the day,
yes,
yeah.
If your property is now 4 times more, but I understand and realize you gave us money when things were okay. So we are putting that into consideration to make sure that we strike a balance. But again, like I said, there are always opportunities. There are more people trying to buy at this time. It's the same year we complained about inflation and all. That is the same year we had Dirty December. So I don't know. If you really look at it, you see that you have to strike a balance. But I think for us, it was more of how do you sell more to those in the diaspora? How can you try and take your message to those in the diaspora?
I really appreciate your resilience and your optimism. You always see the bright side of things and you see the glass half full, regardless of what's going on around you. Now, the industry is evolving. Smart cities, sustainability, new tech, what have you. What's Homework doing to stay ahead of the curve? And any exciting innovations in the works? I mean, I could talk about Marvin Monk, because I'm a brand ambassador for Homework Group. How is that going, and how much of a difference would it be to your portfolio? Do you see yourselves doing more projects like that, of that magnitude, and in the commercial space?
Yeah, so it was interesting. It was a new one for us. Well, maybe not new. We did one in Surrey just before this, but not at this size, and not even the way we sold it as well. But it's a big one. There are a couple of, I think about 3 projects that are going to be finishing back to back. It's been long overdue. People, you can see people complain about the fact that let's see something. So I feel that the next 3 months, moving through this year, the back-to-back completion of projects will definitely take it to the next level. Secondly, we're trying to think innovation and trying to think of projects that have that kick, something about the projects that are different. We're trying to look at something in Badagry that is more like a resort. We're trying to look at how we can even design the shortlet whole business in a different way, short stay apartments and all of that. We're also thinking about how we can even think about old people's homes, where people abroad can buy a place for their parents to stay, where they have collective minds there, nurses and all of that. We're thinking about all of that and trying to design outside the box, basically. But in terms of technology, we're thinking of how to introduce in a very innovative way fractional ownership, co-investment, where different people are coming together to invest and get their returns, looking for platforms that can allow them get that trust, basically lowering the barrier to entry for investment. So what you could not do typically with your money, you're now somebody that can do do such things, So basically, you're buying a shop space in the mall that is about 75 million, maybe it's owned by 4 people, and by the time we sell it after 1 year, you make good 30%, 40% out of it. So we're trying to look at that innovative space, but most importantly, we're ensuring we're going global. We're about to kick off a project in Zanzibar. We're trying to see what we can do in the US. Basically, Nigerians in the diaspora
Diaspora.
doing
Fantastic.
something. We're looking at something that we can do in the UK. So these are things to look out for, basically.
Now, in my interaction with Homework Group in the last, not quite a year yet, but we're almost approaching, I could notice that Homework is a great place to work. There's always fun activities. I mean, just Valentine's Day, the team went around asking questions about what do you like about your colleague and all of that. It's a very relaxed place, young work culture, very determined staff and all of that. As group managing director, how would you describe your leadership style?
So for me, I think it's I'm trying to remove the whole. I mean, people always complain that maybe being autocratic doesn't. I mean, in Nigeria, you have to be like that. But I think with all that is going on, you need to really see things as family. So we have yes, we have a structure, and we follow the structure, but we also make sure that it allows you to innovate. It allows you to think. The smallest person can bring the
Why,
greatest
why
idea.
is it? I mean, if a stranger should come into a Homework Group, they think, oh, this guy's so. How is it so effective? They deliver and still it doesn't feel like a military camp.
Yeah, so we try to make it very inclusive. So what you have is this win is your win, is not just the office. So you have benefits from having that win. You're also encouraged to really want to do it yourself. So we're trying to even employ those that are very deliberate about what they do, and they believe in themselves, and they want to actually achieve something. So that even for them, it's not just career growth, it's also personal growth. Some of the trainings we do, I personally do.
So you don't see yourself as just a staff.
Oh no, oh
You
no.
gain a
That's the
lot. Yeah.
idea. You gain a lot. You gain a lot from collaboration, teamwork. You gain a lot from benefits. If we achieve those goals.
So at the end of the day, it's
as a
not
team.
just earning a salary, because at the end of 1 month, you can say, look, I attended this training, I learned
Yes,
this and
yes,
that.
yes.
So
We also
you're,
have something we call a
yeah.
SPET team, Special Project Execution Team. We pick about 12 different things we want to achieve aside the normal goals as a staff, and you're a group. That group tries to chase that thing. When they get it, they get the benefits of it. So it just
Fantastic.
makes you feel like you're doing some kind of PP outside, but it's still working for the company, so to speak. And you actually volunteer. So we could pick people that are directly involved
Yes.
in it, but you can actually volunteer to be part of it just because you want to.
Fantastic. Now, looking back at yourself and your journey and looking at young people coming up, you started with big ideas. I mean, some people would have thought that, this guy is just, there's no way he's going to pull this off. And look, a decade down the line, you've been able to achieve all of this. So a lot of people have big ideas but struggle with execution. How do you make sure your vision actually happens? How have you been able to make these dreams come true, even though sometimes the journey might be rough, but you still get to your execution point?
That's a good question. So one of the things I tell my guys is that if you pray about something and you wish something to happen, the moment you walk out of your house, you start seeing the things that want it to fail. So you have to be dogged. You have to be, some things I try to do with the team is because they also look up to you to say, look, this man is still pushing us to do this, then let's do it. So what we try to do is we're very big on targets. So we follow up on them weekly, beginning of the week, middle of the week, end of the week. We want to achieve this month. We want to
Fantastic.
achieve this year. We break it down into quarters. But we're actually chasing people to the nitty-gritty of the targets, so that it's almost like it's either done
You're laser
or
focused
not
on
done.
it, tunnel
Yes,
vision.
exactly. So even when they're trying to get excuses, came up with something like excuses. I mean, I got it from my church, my spiritual mentor, Pastor Paul, where even in House on the Rock, it's more about you cannot you cannot give excuses. If you give excuses, is it doesn't make sense. So for us, we've taken that same culture and saying that, look, just forget about the excuse. Try and find the way out. And if you can find that way out, we will get it done. So it's basically, have we done it? Like, okay, I've heard all
That's
these
a
stories.
mindset
Have
thing.
we done it? Because it's very hard as you're having that problem of leaving your house and obstacles start. It's the same way it's happening for all the staff. So you need to be that person driving and say, I need to get this done. I could come up with certain things and come into the office and a different set of things become an issue. So basically, we try to just be laser focused regardless of those things, that ups and downs that come every day, which we also still have to handle. So everybody knows that I have my targets regardless of the troubleshooting I have to do.
Yes.
The client walks in unplanned and you have to solve that problem. But you had a target to make a certain number of sales or see a project through or do something. So you just have to have that do it now, do it mentality kind of thing.
Fantastic. Now, finally, Jide, before I let you go, for young people dreaming of breaking into real estate but feeling like it's out of reach, what are the tips they must know to get started?
Yeah, so I think real estate is broad. There are many barriers to entry. There are many directions to come from. I'm an architect. It was an easy way to. I know of somebody that started off as a contractor and is ending up doing development. I know of somebody that was a salesperson and then ended up doing development after quite some time. I was speaking to one of my colleagues recently and I said, look, collaboration is key, but there are many entry points. So it's for one to identify that entry point. I mean, we're talking recently also about the love for art. There are people that will say, oh, I'm going to do this and then make it sort of like bringing my art into the whole thing. So you have different professionals that come into it. It's a way of putting all of that together. So I feel you need to understand where you are and what you have and how can you collaborate to do it as a starter. Who can you learn from? You should mentor. I was just talking about how what helped me was a story from somebody I worked with. I could if they told me that this is going to happen in Banana in your journey, I probably won't even do development. But is that the price to pay? Sorry, I'm not doing it. But that story helped me. So you need mentors. You need people to show you that direction so that you can think outside the box and stand out. Because almost everybody owns. Everybody wishes to own a property or wishes to own a development one way or the other. In fact, our parents were developers, but we just didn't know. Building their house was a development. It's a development project. It's just that maybe they didn't do it commercially. So a lot of people have that ambition, right? But it's just important that you just learn, watch podcasts like this, hear from the industry leaders, try to understand what they're doing. You can have mentors from afar, and look at that little niche you can go into gradually and, use that as your inroad. Look for what you lack and you can find partnerships in that, because it's just collaboration. Architects collaborate with structural engineers, collaborate with contractor, financiers, all of that stuff. Try and understand all you need to push up a project. Try to do a lot of research. See those that have been there and done that, learn under them. And try and understand how your project runs from start to finish. I think basically you'll find an inroad one way or the other.
Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, Jide Adekola.
Yes,
thanks for
a
your
lot,
time.
Thank you for having me.
Looking forward to catching up again in a few weeks, hopefully, because we need regular updates on industry best practices, and also things that are happening.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.